Welcome to another Tackle Warehouse vlog. This week we got a little bit something different for you guys. So last week finished up the San Vicente vlog series with Todd Klein, and we are moving on to some Gunnersville fishing next week with Brent Ayler, and Justin Lucas will be following that. So in between our Todd Klein shoot and the Ritual Angling Spotted Bay Bass shoot, we had a down day and we were able to hop on a boat with Benny Florentino and his son Matt, who you guys might have recognized from a couple other vlogs.
Yeah, a couple years ago I filmed with them a few times, but Benny is the premier guide service outfit out of Southern California for inshore fishing, Calico, that kind of stuff. And his son Matt is the head of marketing over at AFCO. Both guys are very passionate about the sport of fishing and fishing in general, really into getting kids involved and sharing their knowledge and experiencing the Calico bass fishing deal. And I'll tell you what, as much as I love to go to the lakes and fish for bass, if I lived in Southern California, I would be fishing for Calicos, the inshore stuff, 24/7, and probably never go back to the lake again.
With that said, guys, before we get into our day on the water with those two, let's rewind back a few years, and I'm gonna play you back a clip of Jared Littner and Benny Florentino fishing together and chatting a little bit and give you an idea of the history of coastal charters, as well as the awesome fishery that those guys have down there in Southern California.
Calico bass fishing. You know, I remember when I first met you, I seen you at Lopez Lake, right? Largemouth bass fishing. And that was what, probably 15?
That was a while ago.
15 years ago?
15
years ago?
Yeah, it was.
And then all of a sudden, I hear that you're in Southern California. You opened a guide service, Coastal Charters, and how'd that all come about?
Well, you know, I went up to AG, Arroyo Grande, your hometown, to open a restaurant. I've been fishing inshore calico bass, you know, for 30 plus years on small boats, and fishing artificials, you know, 35 years. My guide service came about is when I left the company I was with up at AG and then moved back down. I took a year off and go, you know, what am I gonna do? And I go, you know, I'll get my captain's license and maybe do it part-time until I find some real work. It ended up blown up into a full-blown guide service. I got really busy, so I just kind of stayed with it over the last 5 years.
And you're just busy continually.
And yeah, and especially this time of year, you know, late spring, early summer, it's nonstop. Yeah, nonstop. I get anglers from the Midwest, you know, the Northeast, Florida, Texas. A lot of bass fishermen, you know, a lot of red fishermen. They love, you know, guys that like to fish bass in general. They hear about this Calico thing, they see it, you know, the videos, and they go, God, we got to try that. You know, I mean, this is, look at, here we are on Isthmus in California on Catalina Island. It's a gorgeous day, catching a few fish already, you know. But, you know, a lot of my business, one is, to come out and catch a few. I get a lot of anglers that are novices that want to learn the sport. I get a lot of, you know, dads and grandpas that bring their grandkids and sons along, daughters, and they want to take them fishing.
Well, that now here it seems like there's always something biting.
Yes.
You know, I mean, if the calicos aren't biting, you know, I'm sure you have backup plans, or there's, you know, when the tuna are in, whacking them.
Tuna, rockfish, sea bass, yellowtail, bonita, barracuda. It can be close, it can be far. It's, you know, pick your poison.
Or you're getting bit. Because you know as well as I do, some days at Lopez Lake, there's not a whole lot of biting happening.
No, it's like I always tell my guests, hey, biters are good. Biters are good, you know, and if you have an environment like this where you're, you know, out in the open, spending time with family and friends, and that's what I run, you know. I'm fortunate enough to run it on this beautiful Ranger, comfortable, you know, and I supply them with all this great Shimano gear, rods, reels, lures, and instruction. You can't control the fishing, but, you know, share it with good people and make the best of it. That's what's best.
It's all about.
That's it. And a few biters.
And a few biters.
That's it.
All right, cool guys. Now that you know a little bit about coastal charters and the inshore fishery down there in Southern California, let's check out our day on the water with the Florentinos.
So first thing in the morning, Corey and I met up with Matt and Benny in Huntington Harbor, and we headed out on his Mercury-powered Ranger. And Benny supplies all his clients with Shimano gear, top of the line stuff, but we ended up bringing a little bit of our own stuff to try as well.
On the way to our first spot, we met up with Randy Spicer from Kicker Fishing and Ritual Angling to pick up a few baits that he pours and paints himself. At the first spot, we pulled up and we're throwing those weedless swim baits over kelp, and I would say that's probably Daniel's favorite way to fish.
After fishing the first spot for a little bit, you know, getting into a little flurry, some decent sized fish, we noticed things start to cool down for us with the weedless swim baits, but Matt is still kicking our butt in the back of the boat on this hard bait that we had never seen before. And also Benny was still catching some on a little swim bait by Weston that we actually do carry, I believe.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's a newer brand, but it is newer in the freshwater world.
It is a little newer in the freshwater world. The hard bait was actually Weston bait as well. You guys might have heard of Weston probably because of Freddy the Frog. That's one of the really hot selling lure for us. It was huge at ICAST last year, won one of the best new awards there. But Weston did kind of start out as more of a musky pike, you know, that kind of, you know, predatory style species over in Europe, and they're kind of branching off into the bass market now. And we're actually looking at possibly bringing this bait in. It's a really cool bait. That day we were killing them on it. And Matt actually hit up the guy from Weston just to try him out because he uses some of their stuff, and the guy's like, that's, you know, not really designed for that type of fishing. And I tell you what, after that day, we all became believers. And I'm guessing down in Southern California, there's a lot of dudes throwing this bait right now. And maybe down the road, we'll be carrying these to Tackle Warehouse.
So coming from more of the freshwater bass mindset, there's a few things that you got to break yourself of quick, or else you're going to keep losing some of these, especially on that weedless swim bait. He kept singing, don't swing, just reel into them and they'll latch on. I mean, there may be 3 or 4 fish going after your swim bait, one might miss it, so if you just keep that steady reel, one of them is going to eventually latch on.
And once they do latch on, that's when you can really kind of pour the wood to them, and you want to keep them coming too. You want to keep the rod, like rod tip up, which is a little bit different, and keep them back to the boat, and your drag is pinned. Even with your pinned drag, these guys will still pull, because these guys, they are mean. I don't even compare it to a bass. They pull so darn hard.
So when it comes to, you know, rod, reel, line combos, I mean, it's really just a beefed up swim bait rod.
I was using like an older Shimano swim bait rod, but same kind of thing. Just, you know, it's a bass rod, so you can use a swim bait rod. Some guys even throw flipping sticks, but really you just want a fairly stout rod. But that's the beauty of going out with Benny though. You don't have to bring anything. You just show up and he's got the bite dialed, he's got the gear dialed as well.
I was also using a Daiwa Alexa 300, the Win version, but I had taken off the single handle and put on a custom handle that we also sell, 100 millimeter, I believe, and was throwing that on an 8-foot extra heavy DX swim bait rod, which is pretty reasonably priced setup.
Like Daniel said, when it comes to line, you're using that 50, 60 pound braid, and like I mentioned, you got that drag pinned. And sometimes you go straight braid, but you guys will throw a leader too. Daniel was using the Zuri Hardcore 40-pound leader, but using, you know, at the lightest, you know, 30-pound, usually 40, 50-pound fluorocarbon leaders, and sometimes just straight braid. About midway through the day, the bite kind of started slowing down, and it was right when the tide was right, and we should have been catching them, and we weren't sure what was going on. And I kind of noticed this, like, what looked like a boil kind of in front of me, or like 8 or 7 boils. Like, what was that? And they're like, oh, I don't know. And all of a sudden, we hear the other boat. Randy was kind of behind us, Randy and Skylar. Like, dude, there's sea bass everywhere. And there was hundreds of sea bass coming in there. And apparently when those guys come through there, they will chew on those calicos and those guys just disappear. So that's kind of why the bite died off. It was cool seeing those guys. I didn't get to hook up with one of the sea bass, but Skylar caught one, and a pretty good one too.
Yeah, probably like 40, 50 pounds at least, and caught it on a Lucky Craft jerkbait, which is pretty sweet.
Yeah, it was neat.
So gotta send a big shout out to Matt and AFTCO for hooking us up with some awesome gear. The whole time we were comfortable out there. Hands down, best rain suit on the market is the Hydronaut, in my opinion. Super comfortable, keep you dry, and also was wearing the Samurai hoodie, which I have a handful of those that I wear like on all the shoots pretty much. And also their sun mask is killer too.
I was also rocking the same Hydronaut and Samurai hoodie, but for underneath my mid-layer piece, I was actually wearing their new Hexatron hoodie, which I really like. You know, it's kind of in between like the fleece, you know, jacket that you were wearing. It's, you know, a little, not quite as warm as that, but also it's not, you know, it's a little bit warmer than just the Samurai hoodie itself. It's kind of a great little piece for me. I get hot really easy, so I like having that kind of as a mid-level, mid-layer piece, I guess you could say. Really a fan of all the AFCO stuff, and the guys at AFCO, they really, they're fishermen first, and they really make some quality products.
So on our way heading back towards Huntington, we stopped at another spot that was pretty picturesque, so I grabbed the drone and flew it for a little bit while these guys were fishing some bottom baits.
Yeah, we actually were throwing the Megabass Dark Sleeper, and that kind of surprised me. I didn't think those guys would be throwing that neat little bait, but for its size, and it's perfect little imitation for bait fish out there, but for its size, it's a pretty heavy little bait. And as most of you guys know, it's not really a dark sleeper anymore because we have a hard time keeping those guys in stock. We were selling the fire out of them, and obviously not just in the freshwater. Guys are throwing them out there in the salt, and every guy that those guys go with, they all throw this bait down there. So it's a killer bait, fresh, and out in the salt water as well.
Yeah, they were almost fishing it pretty much like a jig, just on the bottom, just creeping it. And we picked up and hit one last spot with those dark sleepers tied on. We hit up some back bay water, some shallow stuff where I actually picked up my first spotted bay bass back there, tiny little guy. And we both got a couple little halibuts too. That was pretty cool. Nothing like that one that you had caught before though.
No, the one we caught a couple years ago, that was pretty crazy. It was cool to catch that big of a halibut, but I never would have thought to catch one on a 10XT. That was a pretty cool experience.
So there you have it, guys. That was our day on the water. Hope you enjoyed the video and have a little bit better of an idea about, you know, calico fishing. And hopefully if you guys ever get the opportunity, you take advantage of it because it is so much fun, and especially fishing with those two guys.
Yeah, if you are down there, you're looking to get down there, I definitely recommend hitting up Coastal Charters, hitting up Benny, and going out with him. He will put you on the fish, and besides that, he's just a great guy to kind of hang out and talk with and just kind of talk fishing. Overall, it was a really fun time, and I'm looking forward to getting back out there again and fishing with those guys again.
And finding biters.
Biters.
We love biters.
We like the biters.